You are tuning into the Paddle and Fin Podcast Network, kayak fishing's best network of shows with great hosts covering all things kayak fishing, bringing you special guests covering topics such as shore fishing, river trips, gear reviews, angler profiles, tournament news, and more. Sit back, relax, let's do this.
Hey, and let's do this on the Paddle and Fin Network. Welcome to the Main Contain Fishing Podcast. As always, we're here on another live, and we've got a good guest from South Carolina way. We'll introduce him in a minute, but sit back and relax. Grab your favorite drink. No, this one's not vodka. It's water. And we'll get this thing started. Well, welcome to the Main Contain Fishing Podcast there. Josh, how are you, sir?
Hey, man, I'm happy to be here.
And welcome. We're going to get this thing started. We've got a few people in the chat already, but we're going to introduce you to the world and kind of get your story out and kind of how you got into kayak bass fishing and go from there, man. So just kind of run it down about Josh. And is it Abide Fishing or Abide?
It's Abide.
Abide Fishing. So just kind of tell us the story behind that, and we're gonna let you have the floor.
Before we even get started, I watched your little intro there, and there's some babes on that. That's like I'm bringing the ugly over here. I don't know about, man. I'm out of my
that's something that Mr. John Rapp. He's with the Rusty Hook podcast. He's been with them, golly, I think maybe 6 or 7 years. He runs this podcast on Tuesday nights on the Paddle and Fin Network, and so yeah, he's the one that makes all our intros and stuff like that. So he kind of asks for videos, and everybody ships them to him.
Yeah, well, good work there. It drew my attention. I'll put it that way.
So kind of introduce yourself and kind of go from there.
I have a little fishing channel, Abide Fishing. Been fishing since I was a kid, and then fished a lot when I was younger. But it's one of those things. It's like, when I got to my teenage years, I kind of had other occupations, with cars and girls and that sort of thing, and got out of it for a long time. Several years ago, I went back and decided to get back into it and bought an old beat up bass boat. And it was one of those things where it basically just never ran. I never got the thing running the entire time I owned it for about 2 years. And I think I fished on it maybe twice. I called it the Black Pearl because the thing was just cursed. I'd get it running. It'd run like a charm, like a champ, like in the driveway. As soon as it hit water, it was broken down every single time. So it got to the point where it's like I got tired of being a boat mechanic, and I got tired of looking at the thing. And I just told my brother, I was like, hey, if you can find somebody to buy this, help me out. And I ended up just giving the boat away because I was just so sick of looking at it. Got out of it for a while, and then started, and that's kind of like when kayak fishing started gaining in popularity. And I was like, well, I enjoy fishing. I don't like maintenance. That's just something I can just throw in the back of the boat. Throw in the back of the truck and go fish for. I was like, it's a minimal investment. I was like, I think this might be something I could get into. So that's what I did. I wasn't filming or anything. I was just in the kayak fishing, and I put in one of the local lakes, and I made the mistake of putting in is like one of these beautiful summer days, like on a Saturday. It's a place that I used to fish like when I was younger, and I hadn't been out there in a long time. I just didn't realize like what the boat traffic situation was like. And I was like, this is not even enjoyable. I'm just about getting run over all the time. And how I got into the podcast was, how I got into the YouTubing was I went on the internet. I was like, where are other places I could go that where are public launches? And so, believe it or not, there's not like a really good repository of like places that you can go and they just say, hey, this is the address. This is where you go. There's sites on there, and you can go to like DNR's website and they've got some stuff, but a lot of that stuff is so outdated. Like I would drive to it, load up all my stuff, get there, and then the thing would be closed. And like, oh, it doesn't open until 10 o'clock. And I'm like, I'm here at 6. And now I got to find some other place to go. There's other places that it's like, oh yeah, this is a kayak launch. And I got there and it's not a launch. It's just a bridge with like a giant ravine that you got to carry your kayak down. I'm like, I could probably get my kayak down. There's no way I'm getting it back up. So there was just no way to actually get this information. So I had the idea. I was like, well, what if I did that? Basically show all these different places that you can go, show what the ramp is like, show what amenities are there, actually put an address down in the description box. So if there's anybody that's looking for this type of information, they have like a one-stop shop where they could go there. And then I just happened to be fishing, so I filmed that too. So that's kind of how I got my start. I started making the content that I was looking for, and it's just kind of grown into there. And that's how it started. And then now, you can only, venture to new places so many times. I'm at the point now where I've hit everything like within an hour and a half of my house. So obviously you were having to do repeats. And so when I started doing the repeats, that's when, I started doing, goofier videos and themed videos. And about 4 years ago, I started fishing with Queen City and I started doing some of the tournaments there. And so I've been fishing with them for about 4 years now, basically giving them my money for the last 4 years. But it's a fun club to fish with. There are a lot of really great guys down there.
Right. I tell you what, looking at Vinny's stuff and with Queen City, he runs, just by looking and hearing people talk about Queen City, he puts on a hell of a tournament series, and he's got it down to a science now, man.
I've been spoiled. That's really been the only club experience that I've had, and it's so top notch. It's hard to. It's a really tough. It's a tough club to compete in, but it's also just the leadership over there they're just top notch, and they're great they're just a huge asset to the kayaking community.
Right. And it's talking about the kayak world and how it exploded. I think it really took off in 2020 with with everything going on with the world and this crap. I'm not going to say it because that'd get me down a rabbit hole, but but then you kind of see it, everything's sold out, and then everything is coming back finally. Companies are catching up and things like that. And I think, and a lot of people know that I came from the bass boat world into the kayak world, and you're talking about putting money into a boat, and you're spending things like that. You join these clubs that are bass boat clubs, and then they want you to have $100,000 not a life insurance policy, but the insurance policy for you to fish in the club. And you're like, crap, man. By the time I pay an entry fee, I pay my $100,000 insurance policy, gas, travel. That means I got to come in the top 2 to even get some money back.
Yeah, and not only that, I'm not really in that world, but I've looked at like what some of the payouts on that. The payouts in QC are just as good, if not better, than some of the other clubs, and just the barrier to entry is so much lower.
Right.
It just makes sense to get into it. I don't know how far down the rabbit hole you want to get, but I've been thinking about this lately. I've been hearing rumblings. I don't think Queen City has run into this about how, just kayak tournament fishing is, kind of seeing a plateau or even a slight decline. And I think a lot of that is the barrier to entry. Now it's what was great about it. Like, in 2020 is really, it was brand new. You could literally go out there with a paddle and compete with these guys. But now you look at, you go to, some of the paddle shops now, look at their higher end models. It's almost as much as a boat. And then with all the technology and everything, you don't have to have the stuff to compete, but you're really at a disadvantage if you don't have the stuff. And
Right.
it's the barrier to entry now is getting higher and higher. And I think that's ultimately I'd like to see something that was more like a premier league and then more like an entry level league. And I think a lot of the smaller clubs are stepping up to that. Because again, for me, I'm not a tournament fisherman. I don't take it seriously. I enjoy going out there and just BSing with the guys and hanging out and stuff. At some point it becomes expensive to just, hang out with the guys. I mean, that's really what it boils down to. It'd be different if I got lucky last year in one tournament, and I broke even. I'll put it that way. For all the years that I've been fishing, I finally broke even rather than just giving up. Basically, I was just there to subsidize the better fishermen for most of my tournament career, or so to speak.
Yeah. That's how I was in the bass boat world. I was just taking my money and giving it free to somebody, because let's talk about the kayak tournament scene here. You got Hobie did away with their series. I think they're eventually going to bring it back. That's just my opinion, because AJ puts they put on a hell of a series with Hobie, and they had some big payouts. Steve Owens with Bassmasters, and running the state series with them. I think Bass finally caught up to the world of, oh my Lord, this kayak stuff is like blown out the water. Why aren't we in this stuff? And these guys are fishing these national level tournaments. They fished out in Arizona, Las Vegas recently. They just left Kissimmee. If you look at the Kissimmee payout, man, the first place winner won $11,500.
Yeah.
If you walked away with that in your pocket, that kind of, you're kind of okay. Well, if I fish the next one, if I come in the top 10, I'll still make this much money. So, but I think the grassroots club stuff really has really helped. And with you kind of got the grassroots, then you got the mid-level clubs, and you got the state level, then you got the national level. So there's ways for people to compete in everything, from beginners to elite anglers. And you're talking about, as far as the way that you got to compete is, forward facing sonar, trolling motors, things like that. You got to have that equipment in order to compete at them higher levels. But I think as a beginner level, or even at a state level, if you can compete at the state level with these guys, I think more people are apt to get into that. Especially, you're talking about high school and college anglers. These guys ain't got a bunch of money.
Yeah, and something that's cool. A lot of the local clubs, I say a lot. Some of the ones that have piqued my interest. I went into Queen City because they had the most social media presence, and I just kind of stumbled into them. But that's jumping in with the big dogs like right immediately. I mean, those are some hammers there. Those guys are really good. There's some local clubs that do like smaller lakes, like horsepower restricted lakes and stuff, and that's what I think I'm going to do this year. I'm going to, sample some of those other clubs just to, and that's what I grew up doing. It was fishing the smaller lakes. I mean, that's the benefit of having a kayak is you're allowed to go places where other people aren't. So why don't you take advantage of it? Obviously, QC can't do it because, they're running 120 people per event.
Right.
I mean, you just be running into each other all day long. But some of the smaller clubs that do these smaller horsepower restricted lakes, that's really piqued my interest. I think I'm going to dabble in that a little bit this year.
Gotcha. Travis says in the chat, Travis does fishing. He says, I'd love to sponsor Josh to come fish Saturday if he's free. I can do his big bass and the entry fee.
That's his SC Yak, right?
Yeah, that's his SC Yak club up there.
Yeah,
I think are they fishing Kiwi?
They're at Kiwi, yeah.
Yeah, Kiwi this weekend. Kiwi's a heck of a clear lake and a deep lake, isn't it?
Yeah, I've never been, but I've
You've never
heard.
been?
No, I've heard good things about it. That's the can I see the chat? Oh, here it is.
Yeah.
Okay, there it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't mean to distract you, but no, Travis. I mean, Travis is putting together a little club. I saw he posted today. That's the thing. I was like, well, maybe I could compete in some of these smaller clubs and maybe make some waves. But then I saw the roster that he's assembling over there. He's got some good guys on that roster.
Oh yeah, I saw his roster today, and I reckon that golly, Bobby Stanbridge, he's from North Georgia. Barry Davis from South Carolina. Yeah. So there's some hammers in there.
Yeah, there's some good guys in that club. So that's cool that he's doing that. And I like seeing Travis has been he's been a big supporter of my channel and vice versa. He puts together some really good content. I really enjoy his stuff.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I wouldn't be able to. I wanted to fish some of his stuff today, this year, not today, but this year, and it just didn't work out. With me running, I'm running a series down here in Georgia, which is the Georgia Tour Kayak Series, which is 9 tournaments. The 9th tournament is the championship round, but yeah, next year I'm gonna try to get up there and fish some of them. I want to fish some of them South Carolina lakes. I'll just go ahead and buy my South Carolina license, and I'm from Savannah, Georgia way, so it's not for me to travel to Hartwell or it's about a 2.5 hour ride to Hartwell for me. But or Santee Cooper. I've always heard that's a fire lake.
Oh my goodness, Santee is phenomenal. I've never done well down there. I've done almost well. Like in QC, it's a 4-fish limit. I think I caught 3, and my smallest was I think 21 inches, and I couldn't get the 4th. It was one of those things, and it was interesting. Like I placed ahead a lot of people who had limits, and I was like, I didn't even have a limit, but it was definitely a fun day.
Yeah. So you're talking about these smaller lakes with these motor restrictions. We either call them like wildcat derbies or just derbies. Everybody, usually they're held like on a Saturday morning for like 4 hours or a Sunday morning for 4 hours. And it's just, everybody throws $20 in the pot, and whoever wins it, wins it. It's just a one man payout, and sometimes you get 5 guys, sometimes you get 20 guys to show up, So they're always fun. I did it back in the bass boat world. We'd fish some of these trolling motor only lakes, and just everybody throws in $20-$25 and let's go fish.
Yeah, that's more my again, if I'm gonna be contributing, I can muster a $20 entry and roll the dice.
Yeah. So tell me about what lake do you like is your go-to lake up there in South Carolina? You got Hartwell, you got Russell, you got Kiwi. What's the J one?
Jocassee.
Yeah,
those are all a long ways away from me. I think those are all. I think Hartwell is probably about 2 hours away. I'm more in like the Norman Wiley, the Norman Wiley area.
Gotcha.
I mean, my preference is honestly, I like the smaller lakes. There's a couple in like York and in Chester counties that are real small. I mean, just one of these little 40-50 acre lakes that are public. I like hitting those up a lot. And then as far as like the main thing, like fishing the river right below Lake Wiley is always good. It's one of those things you gotta kind of time it well, because it's like when the summertime rolls around, it's tuber central, and there's just lots of tubes out there, which again, they don't bother me, but it's just parking, and there's only a single ramp there. And that's always been like one of my frustrations is I don't think tubers realize that you don't need a boat ramp to launch a tube, so they'll all be lined up single file at the boat ramp. And I was like, you got stretches and stretches of bank that you can launch from. You don't have to be single file at the boat ramp to go down in the tube. But it's just one of those, just annoyances. It's everybody's water. So you just got to kind of work around them. But that's a really fun place. It can be a little bit treacherous if they're running water and stuff, but it's really fun down there.
Yeah. So what river would that be up there?
That's Catawba.
Catawba.
Catawba
So-
River.
So where's that flow from? Catawba to where?
The Catawba, it basically that's the river that feeds like Hickory, Roadhiss. There's several lakes on there. It's Hickory, Roadhiss, Mountain Island, Norman, Wiley. Then it goes into the actual river. The river runs down to, I think it's Fishing Creek is and Watery down there.
Okay. Yeah. So within my driving distance here in Savannah, I have three main rivers. Not three main rivers, but I have the Savannah, the Ogeechee, and the Canoochee that I can actually be with in about 30 minutes. But the Savannah Rivers is kind of treacherous fishing in a kayak just because of how many bass boats are running up and down that damn thing every day. So it's but all our big reservoirs are at least 2 hours away from me. So I'm in the same boat as you. I like to fish. I like to fish backwaters. Just dump the kayak in and go down a little creek or something and things like that.
Well, that's the thing about, when I said treacherous, like that stretch of the Catawba, it's not treacherous because of boats. It's pretty rocky, and it's when they run water, they don't give you much notice. And it's ideally there's a couple launch points where you could shuttle back and forth, but usually I'm by myself. So it's one of those things. It's like you got to be careful. I only go down to a certain place because I know, like at that point, there's no coming back. It's you go over one ripple and you're on the other side. You basically got to go down to the next town and then call somebody to come pick you up.
Yeah. So it's more of a rafting river than actually a fishing river. Or
no, most of it is pretty calm. There's just a couple little pockets that you got to get past, but it's not rafting. It's hard to get past the ripples once you get past them. One of those type of things.
Yeah. So what is your go-to up there fishing that river?
You talking about techniques?
Yeah, techniques wise. Yeah. What is your go-to?
I love throwing a square bill like behind the rocks. That's kind of my go-to out there.
A 1.5 or 1.0 type deal.
Man, that's you're talking crazy talk. I go to I use the Walmart, the Ozark Trail, the $2 lure. Say what you will, you can. They catch fish, and as much as I lose them, it's like, hey, I'm out $2.
You're out $2, yeah.
I'm out literally they're $2. I buy them by the case, and so I just take me a couple packs of them. When I run out of them, I'll just reload again.
You want me to tell you a secret behind Ozark?
What's that?
Strike King paints them for them.
I knew that color looked familiar.
Yeah, all them people, all them tackle companies, especially big ones. You're talking Strike King, Pure Fishing that has Rapala, Abu Garcia, and all. They're buying them out and just making a knockoff of them and selling them at a cheaper price, but it's the same blank. If you take, let me tell you a secret about baits. If you take a 1.5 Strike King and a 1.5 in the Ozark, sand it down to the bare bone blank, right? It's the same bait.
Well, you don't even have to. I don't even have to sand it down. You just you just look at that lure after I get done running it through them rocks. There's no paint left on it anyway.
And it, and it's kind of weird. We're talking about crankbaits because I just saw a video from Gerald Swindle. Is all these crankbaits are shiny, shiny, shiny. You know what he does with his crankbaits? He takes them and sands them down a little bit with a sanding block, with a 220 sanding block, and gets rid of that clear coat on them. He said the fish bites them better because if you look at a fish in the water, they're not shiny.
Yeah,
especially bait fish.
Well, I kind of have the same opinion on like jigs. Like my jigs, there ain't a lick of paint on any of them. I know these guys, they swear that you got to keep them painted up and chipped up. I don't think it matters. That head's in the mud or in the rock anyway. You're not gonna be. They're not looking at any of that.
Nah, they're they're just looking at that vibration and on their lateral lines and stuff like that. So they're, oh, bait fish, let me go get it. But yeah, man, it's it's intriguing talking with other people from other states about fishing, because the one reason why I like to have a kind of variety of people is because, like me, I live next to South Carolina. I live next, I can be in Tennessee within about 5 hours. I can be in Alabama within 4 hours. I can be in Florida less than 2 hours. And if you grab people from these different states and talk about fishing together, I don't care if it's on a podcast or through text, or you kind of say, hey, man, I'm coming up there this next week. What are they biting? You can kind of reach out to people and kind of grow a community and kind of and feel forward and kind of say, okay, like well, I'm coming down to y'all's area. What are they biting this week? So how do you feel about giving them information out to other anglers?
I'm an open book. If they want to take my advice, that's their funeral, because it's I ain't that good. But I mean, that's the thing about like doing my the YouTube channel. It's like I show you everything that I'm using, and that was another point of like what I was trying to do with my YouTube channel. I wanted everything that I did to be replicable. I wanted anybody to be able to see exactly where I'm going, what I'm using, and recreate it for themselves and make it kind of an approachable. Let's be real, like anglers, they hold things close to the vest, but secretly when you get talking to them for a little bit, they'll disclose everything. But I don't even like hold back. I just put it all out there. It is what it is. You can see what I did, where I went wrong, what I did right, and it's there. And if you want to recreate it, it's everything you need is there in the description box.
Yeah. So that's the reason why I kind of, not two reasons why I created the hub on my website over on scgkbf.com is, first, the state of Georgia doesn't do very well with their website as far as directing people where to get stuff registered as far as a kayak and get their fishing license. And third is giving the information directly to the angler where they can go launch a kayak, a boat, or whatever watercraft they're fishing out of. And that's the reason why I kind of created the hub, was to give that, people can come to my website and say, okay, he's got the location of the boat ramp of, and what I'm going to add to it this year is I'm going to release some waypoints when I go fishing at these places.
Okay.
So, people are always, well, I'm not releasing my waypoints because, I won't be able to go catch fish there no more. Fish are going to be there. Fish are going to be there. It doesn't matter. But I'm trying to gear towards, and like you're trying to give the angler the information, the correct information out on your YouTube as, this boat ramp's good. This is what you can expect at the boat ramp. This is the launch. Stuff like that. So I don't think the states put not the correct information, but they don't put enough information out there and easy access information as a whole. Do you think the same?
I agree 1,000%. South Carolina's gotten a little bit better, but like if you were to go to see, their public lakes, I mean, they've got stuff on there where, they have one little screenshot of what the ramp looks like, but it's what it looked like 15 years ago. It's like a grainy picture that's 1 inch by 1/4 inch. You really don't know what you're going after. And then when you get there, it could have been renovated 4 times between the time they took that picture to the time you actually get there to look at it. So it's not a really updated. It's not really updated. And not only that, they put a small map on there, which probably makes sense if you live in the area, but just having a physical address that you could type into your phone or your GPS and actually get to it, 2 completely different things. And that's another thing. A lot of these, the waypoints and stuff that I don't say waypoints, but the coordinates that they give, a lot of the times the address they give will not show up in your GPS. So that's a lot of like me trying to figure out the thing, and at least find an address that'll get you in the neighborhood of where you're trying to get to. And that information is not readily available. And there is some, they probably need to step up their game on that a little bit, but again, they don't need to when they got, I guess, the fishing hub there to give them all the information that they don't have on the website.
Right. Yeah. So that's the reason why I came up with it was my wife's idea to come up with this, and because we attended ICAST last year and we sat in some meetings down there, and one of the guest speakers was talking about people don't have access to the information and they don't know where to find it. So I was like, it kind of popped off a light bulb in her head. She's like, well, you need to create this for the state of Georgia, especially in the southeast part, because we got so many in the southeast part. We got so many places to fish from here to Florida. Just so many boat ramps and things like that. And then we got a military base to deal with, because a lot of people don't know about the military base, where you got to have a certain pass to get into the military base and things like that. So, but yeah, it's coming along pretty well for me.
Well, that's cool that you're putting the waypoints on there. I was thinking, I was like, well, I could probably do that, but mine would just say the bank. That's my waypoint, is what the bank.
Well, if you went, what I'm thinking is, you would get, especially with these public fishing areas we have here in Georgia, we have several, probably about 12 to 14 different public fishing areas. So if I can just put maybe 3 waypoints on there where somebody can go in their boat with their child and say, well, this guy's caught fish right here on this waypoint. They can put that waypoint into their GPS and sit on that point in this time of year, fishing this bait, and you're going to catch fish.
Yeah.
Kind of, because it's nothing like heartbreak. You probably fished as a kid, is going out with your dad or your granddaddy and you don't catch no fish. Now, yeah, as a kid, if I didn't catch no fish, I ain't going next time, because we ain't gonna catch no fish.
Well, it's amazing to me. Something that I was not expecting when I started doing the YouTube thing was the amount of kids that watch the channel, because it's amazing. I've had people like, that through the grapevine or whatever, like guys that I fish in the club with, and then they can't believe, like, Josh from Abide Fishing, but that's their TV. That's something that, our generation, we don't really realize. TV is TV, but nowadays YouTube is TV, and it's great that it's so accessible, and so many. I get kids all the time that message me, wanting to know, well, where are you filming your next video, or what you're using, and it's really heartening to see that, because we're able to reach people that typically we wouldn't reach through our normal mediums, and it's just really cool thing to see the kids' involvement and all this stuff.
Yeah, if I knew what YouTube was 10 years ago, I'd have probably started YouTubing 10 years ago.
Yeah, we're late to the game. That's the thing. We're the early adopters are doing very well. Everybody else is, again, it's just there's just a lot of people doing it. And there's a lot of good stuff, but there's a lot of not so good stuff. But I want to be clear, my stuff's not great, and when I started, it was awful. So it's a learning curve, but there's just a ton of content right now, and it's hard to stand out. The guys that were early on it, they're on it, and they've got a solid following, and they're solidified in their place. It's a really hard thing to break into now, just because there's just so many people doing it.
Yeah. Like I think somebody, I read a post actually last night while I was working. Somebody posted, like, I can go on YouTube and find the February baits that have filled up through 9 tackle boxes.
Yeah,
because every fisherman is on there giving their 3 baits for February.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So, we're going to talk about this social media stuff when we get back, Josh. So what we're fixing to do is we're going to take a commercial break here. Give you time to grab you another drink and kind of take a deep breath. But we're going to get into the social media thing on the back half here.
Okay,
So,
cool deal.
Yeah, and then we'll let's play this little commercial break right quick.
There's a world out there waiting to be explored. But true freedom requires a different kind of power. Power that's reliable, sustainable, and built to keep up with your adventurous spirit. Wattcycle provides strong and stable power.
It's a really good deal.
These are great little batteries. They have high temperature, low temperature sensors.
Really high quality cells come in these things now.
So far, so good. Everything seems to be efficient.
Well, it did everything that it said it would do.
Wattcycle's lithium iron phosphate batteries utilize advanced battery management and thermal control technologies to ensure exceptional performance and reliability. We only use premium grade A cells, selected for their high energy density, superior safety, and impressive cycle life of up to 15,000 charges. Wattcycle is proud to serve over 300,000 customers, empowering homes, businesses, and communities around the world with sustainable energy solutions. Our batteries are engineered to provide clean, efficient power for your renewable energy systems. Wattcycle, versatile power solutions for every adventure. Experience freedom on the road. Stay out on the water longer. Hit the greens with confidence. Secure your home's energy needs. Maximize your solar potential and more. Wattcycle Power Infinite.
Hey, and welcome back to the Main Contain Fishing Podcast. It was a good first half with Josh. We're going to bring you back on here shortly, and we're going to dip into the segment of social media here a little bit, and YouTubing and things like that. So let's get him back on the show and continue it here. Welcome back, Josh.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I'm still here.
So before we get to this YouTube thing, I've got a little video off your YouTube channel, and we're going to talk about this little clip here because it kind of intrigued me when I first saw it off your channel. And so you made this video with an intro that kind of went back to the 1980s or maybe the early 70s, late 70s, right? The movie actually aired in what, 78, 79?
Yeah, it was my throwback. It was my Halloween. My Halloween. I try to do a theme video every Halloween. And this one I was just trying to think of something fishing related that I could do a spin-off on.
Yeah, so we're going to get this thing thrown up on the screen here. And we're going to play this thing.
Y'all know me, how I earn my living. I'll catch this bird for you, but it won't be pretty. Bluegill, swallow you whole. I'll catch it, kill it. Head, tail, the whole damn thing.
So kind of tell us the story behind this.
Well, you cut out the best part there at the end. I did a whole barrel race scene and everything. That's I did a whole spoof at the end of it where they're shooting the barrels, but I did it with bobbers and the fish is chasing the bobbers around, and it's low tech. And watching the clip only makes me realize makes me know why I didn't make it as an actor. I'm not much of an actor, but it's again, you gotta liven it up. There's a million videos of people just sitting around fishing. You gotta spice it up a little bit.
Yeah. So where did you get the outfit, man? That was like on point though.
Hey, let me tell you, when I shaved the beard and I had that terrible, pedophile mustache for a while. It was funny. It looked good like in the video, but the problem is like after I shaved it, I like had that same mustache for work, and people are like, "What in the world are you doing?" I was like, "Hey man, 1970 called." And it was just the clothes. I got them off most of that stuff off just Amazon, but I realized by watching, when I was wearing it, it didn't look like the video. It looked like it was, straight out of the bag from Amazon. So like all that salt, I basically, it was just flour. I just put flour all over things. Like I wetted the clothes and I put flour on it to make it look like salt. But yeah, I thought it made a pretty good Captain Quint.
Oh yeah, certainly, man. He almost sounded like him. Man, that was scary. I was like, man, he must have been watching that video for like 10 times straight to get that voice down.
Yeah, I'm kind of a method actor. So yeah, I was living the part.
Yeah, if y'all didn't see my thumbnail on YouTube, this man was dressed up like Pepe Le Pew. And if nobody knows Pepe Le Pew, he was the skunk back in the Looney Tune days.
Well, again, that was one of my Halloween things, because I try to think of things that would be frightful to fishermen, and there's nothing scarier than a skunk. So yeah, I was like, man, this man's out here fishing in a skunk costume. And but that, talking about social media, let's go to the YouTube thing, especially is because we're both on YouTube. We push content out as creators, and we're always trying to gather that one video that might go viral, right? So, and I hate to talk about them because I think they've done some. You could just say it.
The Guggen Squad, these guys, I think they've done some unethical things in fishing, as far as maybe trespassing, things like that in their earlier videos. I'm probably fixing to have my DMs fixing to blow up here, but as an ethical fisherman, a tournament fisherman, a YouTuber, I'm not going to try to sneak over a fence or or into a place that I don't belong, just to get fishing content pushed out and to be stupid. And I think that's where the younger crowd is, and that's not my crowd. I'm not into that. So what is your takes on the YouTube thing as being a YouTube content creator?
Honestly, I wish I could even speak intelligently on, like the Guggens. I don't watch a lot of fishing content. Honestly, the videos that I watch are the guys that I know that are in my local clubs. I watch Travis. I watch all the local guys. As far as like the guys that have already made it, it's a lot of the content is really high quality, but I like it being a little bit rougher. I like it to be less polished, and I find that more enjoyable because that's what I can relate to. So I really don't watch a ton of content. It's the local guys that I know and I know put out good content with what they got. If I were able to do this full time, I would do it full time, and you might see more content come out and that's higher quality and more polished. But I mean, all the guys that I watch, we all have full-time jobs. This is a hobby, and I'm just being honest. I would love for something to go viral at some point and be able to quit my real job and do this. But I mean, I'm realistic in that it's a hobby. And so as far as what I'm making content wise, I make what I want to make. And if there's an audience for it, then so be it. That's what I'm going to go with, because that's what I enjoy doing. Because again, there's not really, my channel is monetized, but I don't make any money. It costs me more money to do the channel. And I'm sure anybody that's in this world knows that you spend more money creating the content than you ever make out of it. And I look at it as I've made a lot of friends doing this. I've met a lot of people that I wouldn't otherwise have done this, and that's kind of why I do it. I enjoy making goofy videos. I enjoy fishing, and I like doing the goofy stuff too. And why not do them both at the same time?
Yeah. I started YouTube just to kind of push information out there to anglers. That's what my focus is. You know, what if that one person you grab attention hold is, you know, this guy started from the bare bottom and raised himself to the top, you know, and I try to give them the best information that I can as knowledgeable for the area that I fish. And that's what I'm doing this year more of, is trying to get that information out where people can either, if they're traveling, if they're local, if they're whatever, is get them out on the water to catch fish. That's like the Fluke Master says, teaching the world to fish, right? And as content creators, I'm not here to make a living. My full-time job, that's my full-time job. That's where my insurance is at. You know, I'm not making YouTube my full-time job and having to pay high premium insurances. But you know, if I do get money from YouTube or wherever, Instagram, whatever, as being a brand ambassador, content creator, that'd just go back into feed my fishing addiction.
That's it. I'm just doing this just to supplement the cost of me doing this.
Yeah.
And it's odd because, and that's another thing, is like I've tried venturing out and doing like short form stuff like with Instagram and TikTok and the YouTube shorts now. I mean, if you're trying to grow your channel, that's the way to do it. But I don't enjoy doing that type of stuff, you know. And so it goes down to the reward for me is it's not rewarding to do. And so I'm sure that's holding back the growth of the channel. But at the same time, I don't enjoy doing that. That's chopping up my long form videos that I'm proud of doing into, you know, just little digestible nuggets. That's not what I enjoy to do. And so I don't do it. I probably should, but I just don't.
I do a little bit of short form content, but it only reaches a certain. If you put 1,000 people on a line, right? You know, I do numbers as analogies and stuff. If you put 1,000 people on a line, 10% of them people, or even 10 people, are only going to watch short form content because they're 10 to 12, 13, 30 seconds is all their mind is going to fluctuate, right? And then you're going to have rest of the people watch your long form content. Because that's not my short form stuff or short term or shorts or reels and stuff like that. I do them just to kind of get them to my long term content, and so that's where I stand at in that stuff.
Yeah, it's odd. Like, you know, the growth on the channel has been slow but steady. But it's what I found is that the people that do the long form stuff, they actually watch. You know, it's like if I do a short that gets a ton of views, I'll get a ton of subscribers, but I won't see any bump in actual viewership. You know, they watch it, they get to the channel, they subscribe, and then they never see it again. I mean, I have a small subscriber base, but they're rabid though. They're every week. I know as soon I launch my videos at 9:30 on Sundays every day, and I know that like at 9:45 I'll start getting the alerts because that's, you know, it's a 10-minute long video. So there's people there like at 9:30 waiting to watch it. And
right.
That's really awesome. The guys that are there every week, and they're there every week commenting and liking it. It's immediate. And that's kind of, it's been more organic kind of growth doing that, just doing regular content, just know it every once a week. Yeah, I toyed with the idea of doing twice a week, but then I was like, that's just too much, you know. One a week is what I can do, and to be able to put out like a video that I would actually want to watch. If I tried to do it twice, then it'd probably one good video and then one that I'm just mailing in. I don't want to do that. So
Yeah.
I stick with the one a week, and that seems to be working all right for what I'm trying to do.
Yeah, it's kind of, you see all this content on YouTube. Well, the 7-day post challenge and things like that, and they're like, yeah, well, you do the 7-day post challenge, and your YouTube will skyrocket because the algorithm, right? But I did that. I didn't even do 7 days. I did 3 days, and I was like, this is hurting my channel. Because people wasn't coming there every day. People know that I drop a video on Sundays. That's when they're going to come. So I try to, I do a podcast on Wednesdays, and I try to do every other week because of my work schedule, and then try to push out a long form content the weeks that I don't do a podcast. So you kind of build you only got 2 videos you got to produce a month with two live podcasts. So there's your four weeks, right? So, but I think as a whole, if you're starting in YouTube, don't come to me for expert advice, because I'm not go watch Mr. Beast's videos on how to grow YouTube, but that's
if your goal is to be famous and make money on social media, fishing is not the genre that you need to be going to. It is especially kayak fishing in South Carolina. You talk about a niche within a niche within a niche. There are way easier ways to make content than do this. You got to do it just because you enjoy doing it. You got to enjoy both the fishing part and the editing and the production part. If you don't like one or both of those, then it's not for you. And just go ahead and set your expectation. You're not going to get rich doing this. Everybody has that hope, but realistically, it's not going to happen. That ship has sailed. If you were an early adopter, then yes, but it's a tough business to get into. And you just really got to enjoy what you're doing and do it as a hobby.
Yeah, it's I started off as a hobby, just to kind of, I used to do photography and video work, and I had all the equipment. And so I was like, well, what if I stick a camera on the back of my kayak or on my chest and go fishing and things like that? But I kind of want to push my channel towards not being high production, being more realistic, having the real ways that fishing goes, not just fish catches. Well, I went today, I ain't catch nothing.
Well, I was just thinking, I was still thinking about, easier ways to make make money on YouTube. I had a buddy that, he followed my channel and was, he's like, oh yeah, that's, he was asking me how to edit videos and stuff. He has a business. He cleans dryer ducts. That's what he does. Like for your washer and dryer machine. All he does is just film him cleaning dryer ducts. His channel has surpassed mine. He's making a lot of money in a year. The views I can't believe people are watching him clean dryer ducts, but they love it. And who would have thought that is supplementing his income? Here I've been struggling at this for 5 years, and he's cleaning out a dryer duct, and he's blown past me. So there's far easier ways than fishing content to if that's what you want to do, if that's the goal. So.
Yeah, that's just like that gentleman. It went viral recently. The guy that cleans people, that goes up people's doors. Hey, can I cut your lawn and clean up your property? This old woman was, her yard couldn't get and take care. He went to the door, did it for her, and then ended up building her some type of ramp coming out of her house because she was disabled somehow. And then he kind of got all of his followers. He raised over almost $1 million for this woman to have lawn care and to take care of her property for the next 2 or 3 years.
Wow. Yeah, you can buy a lot of lawn care for $1 million. So,
it's it's a win-win situation on certain things, but in the fishing industry, like Tim Williams is saying in the chat, I've seen guys do uncut videos and get a lot more views, and that's what people want to see is the true, I call it the true way of fishing. It is, have some bloopers in there and have some acting a fool, because like me, I'll get in my kayak and start just random songs come to my head, so I'll start singing. Or dress up like Pepe Le Pew.
Yeah. Well, I've toyed with the idea. I don't think I have a base for it yet, but I've toyed with the idea of doing basically live streaming it, from YouTube, doing a live stream on the water and promote that as being like one of the videos that particular week. Yeah. I think it's a good idea, but it's one of those things you can't just live stream and it's just you and nobody, or you and one other person. I guess if you do a one-on-one chat, I guess, but you got to have people actually show up to live stream with you.
Yeah. That's what I plan. You talking about live streaming? That's what I plan on doing maybe in the summer months down here because of longer daylight hours. is go out on one afternoon and kind of maybe do a podcast on the water or something. Just to kind of get people's feel. You kind of push content different ways to kind of see what people are interested in. Then you live from there, right?
Yeah. Like several years ago, I was going to do it like an annual thing, but it's one of those things. Other life priorities get in the way. But I did Abide Fest, where basically I put it out there that I rented out a park and a picnic shelter. We had like a day of fishing and food and stuff. I mean, this was years ago. I think we had like 50 people show up for, just a completely, it doesn't sound like a lot, but I was only a year or two into YouTube and just had everybody show up and do that. I've toyed with the idea. I wanted to do it every year, but I just haven't gotten around to it. But who knows what people actually respond to. I'd like to do that again, but it's one of those things. It's now I'm concerned how many people will actually show up, because before I just went and got a bunch of Little Caesars, and it's, you can feed a lot of people for a $5 hot and ready.
That's right.
But I don't know if like a ticketing type thing would be necessary. That's the last thing I want, is have more people show up than I could feed.
Right. I even thought about throw this out there, and is I have a lot of bait and tackle shops around here, and is do a live from the bait and tackle, like sit down with the owner and do a Q&A with the, put it out weeks in advance where people might show up to kind of do like a live show.
Yeah.
And with my podcast, and kind of go that route, and kind of just sit down with, like, instead of doing a true, I call them traditional podcasts where you have a guest like this, is sit down with, like behind me, just sit down here on the sofa and bring the guy in, and we'll talk fishing, sitting here drinking beers and shoot the podcast that way. But yeah, man, it's there's a lot of ideas I have out there, but I just don't follow through with them sometimes.
Well, you just brought up. I was like, we've been talking here for an hour. I don't think we've really talked fishing about anything. Is that normal for your show?
Oh yeah, it is. It's I try to just get people exposure. That's what I do with my podcast, is try to reach out to anglers that are, YouTubers or just angle that tournament fish. Just trying to get them exposed to the world more. Like I said, I'm streaming to my YouTube, Paddle and Fin YouTube, Facebook, Paddle and Fin. So there's a lot of watchers. But who says that somebody don't hit you up on YouTube and say, "Hey man, I'm coming to South Carolina to fish. What are the juicy spots?"
Right. Well, when I find them, I'll let you know.
Well, yeah, we've been going for an hour, man. Do you have anything to add? Like, as far as what your plan for 2025 is, and if you're going to fish more tournaments with the Queen City, or
I'm gonna be. I'll probably be just doing guest appearances in Queen City this year, and I'll be hitting up some of the local clubs. I'll still be running my YouTube every Sunday. Want to do a quick shout out. I think you're involved with 47 Lures. That's
Yep.
my lone sponsor over there on my channel. But I say you only need one when they're good, and I every time I think I've seen everything that there is to be made, that Philip, man, he pulls something else out, and it's good quality stuff. But yeah, it's things are going good. I've got some ideas percolating. I'm not exactly keen to release them just now, but stay tuned. I got some more costumes in line. I think I'm going to do like a Mythbusters spin-off. I think I got some other stuff that's happening. So
Right.
It'll be a fun year.
So where can they find you on your socials, Josh?
The best way is just go on YouTube and Google Abide Fishing, ABIDE Fishing. I'm also on Facebook. I'm on all of them, and it's Abide Fishing on all of them. I'm not very active on the Instagram and the other ones. YouTube's the best way that it gets the most regular content. But I'm available if you want to reach out to me. You can DM me, or you can even email me. It's abidefishing@gmail.com.
Gotcha. One thing though, I've got to get up in South Carolina and fish with you and Travis just one day, maybe a weekend or something. We can plan, get up there, do some content, do some crazy stuff. We won't break no rules, no laws or anything like that, but get out there on the lake and just have a good time. And maybe we can bring along some other people that are channel followers and want to come fish with us.
Hey, don't threaten me with a good time. Yeah, that sounds good. I'm definitely down. You let me know. My real job is I work for the government. So the good news about that is I get a lot of vacation time. So, hey, you let me know. I'll make it happen.
I work for the government too. So, but yeah, man, I think he froze on us, but if y'all haven't, go over to his YouTube channel, follow him. He's got some good content over there. And we'll get him back on as soon as he comes back. I think he froze a little bit. So, but yeah, we'd like to thank Josh for his time tonight, and yeah, I think he died too, Tim. But yeah, we'll get him back on here and try to let's see if he reconnects for us. But yeah, to put the word out there for everybody, we have come back out with our Kayak Bass Nation online series, which will be on Fishing Chaos. If you're not familiar with Fishing Chaos, download their app. Find us SCG KBF on there. If you want to fish the online tournaments. Yeah, it's the government word. Apparently YouTube and all them don't like the government word. But yeah, going back to the tournaments on Fishing Chaos, that's where the Georgia Tour Kayak Series online event will be. The Georgia Tour Kayak Series will start in March and will be the first event on Lake Juliet. They're up in Macon, Georgia. So yeah, that's where we'll be at. Let's see if he gets added back here. You said the word government, man, and he like disappeared, dude. Can you hear me, Josh? Yeah, I think he's froze again. But yeah, we'll close this thing out, and as always, thank you for joining the Main Contain Fishing Podcast. And make sure you wear your PFD while you're on the water. And always fish on.
Thank you for tuning in to the Paddle and Fin Podcast Network. We hope you enjoyed the show. Don't forget, for future shows, like, follow, share, and hit that subscribe button. Make sure you check out our individual channels and accounts too. Want to be a guest on one of our shows and talk of adventures, gear, or products? Contact us. Thank you for watching The Noob Show with Matt Gibson, Chasing the Tide with Dustin Nichols, The Rusty Hook with John Rapp, The River Run with Adam Fraser Pross, May Contain Fishing with Daniel Woodcock, Chasing the 20s with Carlisle Esterly and Sean Lavery, Friday Night Bites with Brian Schiller. Thanks for tuning into the Paddle and Fin Network. Subscribe and always wear your PFD.